Greetings, isn't it a great day to be a Pokemon trading card game fan? Today, I have a more rogue deck that shows off one of my most favorite cards in this Journey Together deck, Lycanroc. Originally, if you watched my last video, you know I'm playing Lycanroc in my Hops list, and I'm having a great time with it, using the Spike Energy and Lycanroc's ability to take some nice knockouts. But here, next to that, I thought playing Lycanroc with a frosslass build would be a great way to spread damage and get some nasty knockouts. So today, that's what I was going to do. I was going to sit down, look for a Lycanroc frosslass list, pull it over, play a couple games, and show it to y'all. But then I found this list. It is using the Dunsparce draw system. Uses Maractus instead of frosslass to spread damage, and I love it. I've played only a couple games with it, but in those couple games, I learned the ins and outs, and I wanted to bring it to y'all. And I highly encourage you. It's a rogue deck. There's some matchups you're just going to lose to, but it's a lot of fun. I won 2 out of my 3 games with it. Beat a Dragapult, lost against a Dragapult, and then won against a, believe it or not, a frosslass Lycanroc deck. Kind of a mirror there. So let's get into down. So this is what I set up last night. I kind of do these videos in 2 parts. I take a list, I lay it out, I'll play it a couple games in my own time, and come back, talk about it. The deck plays 3 Buddy-Buddy Poffin, 2 Nest Balls, and 2 Artisans for our Pokemon search. This is to help refresh a bunch of our smaller HP guys, and which should include the Budew down here. However, because of the monkey and the Maractus, we play the Artisans, so we can get a bunch of those through the Artisan, and then late game Moon through the Nest Ball, and of course Ultra Ball can be gotten for anything on here, but you'd kind of reserve it for your evolutions. As far as support, we're playing 2 Lightning Energy, which you might ask why, and so did I, but it'll make sense in a minute. 4 Spike Energy, and they're just on top of each other in some weird way. Jet Energies, because despite there being free retreat guys, sometimes you want to be able to attach the Jet to the Maractus to get into the active. 2 Reversals, because this deck does play from behind. You want them to knock out a Maractus first to put damage counters on, so you could take advantage of reversal energy on the Lycanroc, or use Counter Gain, so you kind of play from behind most of the game. That's why you don't see any other gusting counter catchers. Rescue Board to help that retreat, so you're very rarely stuck in the active with this kind of deck. And then a 4-3 1-2-1 line, which this is the Japanese list. They don't build quite in the way that the non-Japanese lists go. I just kind of copied it and went with it. But I found it to be a solid balance, because you want to be able to get Spike Energies in the discard. So you want to be able to discard it through Professor's Research. Iris' Fighting Spirit, which it's a newer card, so we can look at it. You can only use this card if only you discard another card. So you discard Spike Energy, Explorer's Guidance, similar vibe. Look at the top of your deck, put 2 of them in your hand, discard the other cards. I was able to discard Spike Energy that way. Only 1 Arven, because we're not playing a crazy amount of tools, but it grabs you have items and tools to grab. It's not crazy, but I definitely wouldn't play a 4/4 Arven in here like you see in most Arven builds. Then I have a Colress Tenacity, which helps grab that Spike Energy or Jet Energy or Reversal or whatever it is. And the Stadium, definitely another card where you wouldn't want too many of them, but a 1 in there is pretty solid. Night Stretchers, and then Unfair Stamp as the A-Spec, because you want to stall your opponent down. Now, the quick note, why is there 2 Random Lightning Energies? Well, the fact that it's Lightning Energies isn't what matters. What matters is you can get them out of the discard pile with the Night Stretcher. And I am an inexperienced player for sure, but that kind of blew my mind when it clicked. Some of you might be thinking, ah, that's obvious. Stuttlestem, yeah, you can get the basic energy from your Night Stretcher. But I'm playing in my hops list, which I'll make an update video for that later because I've already made some really solid changes since the last one. But I place a bunch of Night Stretcher in there because I'm researching up a lot of stuff because of the spike energy, and I play the Night Stretchers to get stuff out of the discard, and never occurred to me, hey, throw a couple of basic energy in there for that instance where you want an energy and all you have is Night Stretcher. I had added some Colress Tenacities in my hops deck that helped me find the hop stadiums in the special energies. But sometimes you just need an energy. So I'm definitely going to go make a change involving that in my main hops list. Great learning point for deck building if you're using Professor special energy heavy builds. So please take a note of that if you don't learn anything else from this video. Going into the flow. This is the flow I put together by just looking at the deck. I disagree with this flow now, and here's why. You only use Budew if you're going second and you're struggling. This is a fallback, not a start. I thought it was you wanted to start Budew, but it's not good to start Budew. You want to go first and push Maractus. Why? So you can set up a bunch of the Dunsparce and set up the Rockruffs, and if they're a fast deck, you want them hitting into your Maractus, right? So you can then follow up the Rockruff and keep swinging. A lot of the 2/2/2 prize decks, the 6 damage with Lycanroc attack, which we didn't really dig super well in. The 6 energy from the Lycanroc attack means the 6 damage on the opponent's Pokemon that you use the Lycanroc attack on is enough for you to knock out anything that matters in this format, right? You want them hitting into your Maractus, not your Budew. Because even when I push Budew and throw a spike energy on there, that's only 2 damage, and that's not doing anything crazy. So you don't want to go Budew first. But that is wrong. You want to go Maractus, and then if possible, have a board state where you only have 2 Maractuses. You don't want one to get knocked out and you lose from a bench, and you don't want to put in a random card that they can just gust up and knock out. If possible, set up 2 Maractuses, which might be the only Achilles. There's going to be other Achilles heels, but that is a big Achilles heel with this deck. It is hard to get just 2 Maractuses on the board, but if you can get that game state, wouldn't be terrible. And you could argue it's not optimal because you want your draw and your Rockruffs regardless, but 2 Maractuses down is not a terrible game state. So Budew is an alternate. You want Maractus into a Lycanroc, because then you move your 2 spike energy to it and then put another one on, and that means there's 6 damage if it gets knocked out, which then you move into another one, which might be only 4 damage at that point, but that's the flow there. And it's not perfect. It doesn't work 100% of the time, but even against the 1 prize mirror here, when they were dropping a bunch of damage counters around, it is fun to play. And a lot of rogue, that makes a good rogue deck. So, best case in my opinion, Maractus pops, 1/2 prize with 1 Lycanroc, 1/2 prize with another Lycanroc, and then, Bloodmoon for a support, or, Bloodmoon into a Lycanroc if you're struggling with the damage because only 2 spike energy are on there, if it's like a Dragapult type situation. If there's only 40 damage on the opposing Lycanroc, then we're looking at what? 240? That'll knock out mid-tier Pokemon. Yeah, but it's the 6 and the 3 spike that's just most preferable. And sometimes that means 2 from the Don't Retreat into the 2, especially if they are moving around and stuff, but I'm not going to get too lost in that sauce. So a more surface level look at this deck. Again, I only played a couple games with it, but I enjoyed playing it. Now, this is my recommended Lycanroc 1 prize list that doesn't utilize hop. Frosslass might be fun. Frosslass feels slow and not gimmicky, but I'd rather just play the Dunsparce is not the best challenge in the world, but if I choose not to put my 60 HP Dunsparce down because I'm playing against Dragapult, I can do that. I cannot do that against Dragapult with Frosslass, and that by itself makes the Frosslass version much worse in my opinion. So I'll leave this here today. Let me know if you pick it up or try it, or if you have other creative ways to throw Lycanroc in your deck, because it is one of my favorite non-hops Pokemon from Journey Together. Again, sorry to keep going on. I'll actually leave it here this time. Y'all have a good one.